So, we recently got the new Cyclops buff, and a lot of people are going cuckoo for Cocoa Puff, saying that this is one of the best buffs we've ever seen, and that this guy's absolutely crazy. No, I'll be straight up with you immediately. I'm not really the biggest Cyclops fan. I mean, before X-Men 97, the only thing I really had to go off of him, because I don't read the comics, was the movies, and let's be honest, he isn't really developed in any of them. The only thing I can tell you about Cyclops in the movies is that his Optic Blast sounds kinda cool in Dark Phoenix. I have issues. Okay, back to MCOC Cyclops though, because I'm sure a lot of people are upset that I just said that he's bad. I actually really like the buff. I think they did him absolute justice. This actually feels like you're playing as Cyclops, so I actually really like it. But at the end of the day, I can like it, but it is a buff that has some issues, and those are some pretty big issues. Okay, I'm pretty sure you all would just prefer if I got into the video, so here's how the format's gonna work. I'm gonna go over the abilities of Cyclops, go over a bunch of his matchups, show a couple of his strengths, his weaknesses, and then my overall final opinions on the character. Okay, you got all that? Let's go! First and foremost, Cyclops is now a character of utmost simplicity. He is very easy to use, and his ramp-up is relatively short compared to the amount of damage payoff you even get with him. So his ramp-up is stupidly easy to follow. You just build precisions on yourself, and then every time you throw a special attack, you get a power efficiency, and then prowess is based off the amount of precisions you have on yourself at the time. So there are two ways that you can get these precisions. The first one is every time you perform a third hit in a combo, you get +1, or every time you land an intercept, you also get +1. Oh yeah, and then every time you intercept the opponent with a special attack, you get +4. Double that with the fact that you get +5 on the special 2. Every time you intercept with a special attack, you get +9. So basically, you want to get to 11 precisions when you throw the special 2. And then this is where I'll start talking about my first issue, and it's that the special window to intercept is very short. Think of it as like Black Panther OG and not like Hercules, where you can dash back and then throw the special and it counts as an intercept. You basically have to predict when the opponent's going to dash in. There are ways to get the opponent to dash in more with a built-in infuriate when you're dashing back and idling, but I'll talk about that in a second. So I think you understand the basis for his damage now. It's stupidly easy to get his precisions, but we'll talk about why it's a bit impractical in a lot of meta matchups. And his damage payoff is very good. In my opinion, it is the only thing he has going for him, because let's talk about his utility now. Whoever thought the adrenaline mechanic was a good idea needs a U-Tried sticker. Yeah, not really surprising anyone by saying that this mechanic is not good at all. I mean, a lot of people that think that Cyclops is an absolutely amazing champion still agree that his adrenaline is just absolutely terrible, and there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, so far it's down to the competitive aspect. I mean, he needs to be Sig 200 to reap the full benefits, because it's a scaling ability. Not like someone like Dazzler, who got released in November, where she just gets 100% damage reduction at Sig 1. I mean, I like the concept that you have to work towards healing your damage back, but like, it's still through adrenaline, and adrenaline falls off over time. And I was told that the concept of the adrenaline was you just heal it back through your special attacks, but for the matchups that you're going to be wanting to use that adrenaline on, so like Corgs and Atumas and stuff, you're taking that damage at the start of the fight, well before you're getting your special attack loop started. Okay, one bad ability though. I mean, he has other abilities, and they're really good, right? Wrong. There's literally only two more things I can talk about, because yeah, he doesn't really have that much utility. So first off, he has a True Focus, and this is arguably the best piece of utility that he has. You can keep it up for virtually the entire fight, because it just refreshes every time you gain a precision, which, as I said before, is stupidly easy to do. I mean, except for the problem that I have in that it's not really good in any of the matchups that you want to be using it for, like Bullseye. This one could 100% be chalked down to a skill issue, but through my testing, I found that Bullseye had to throw the special almost immediately, or it fell off every single time. And then his built-in Infuriate. Oh god, his built-in Infuriate. Dude, I swear the mechanic is actually just meant to infuriate you, because, I mean, just look at the footage. He's not infuriated, alright? It could be a bug, or it could just be not that good to begin with, but overall, I don't really find it useful for openings. Okay, and then just one more thing to talk about, because it's not really related to the champion kit damage or utility. It's more of a personal thing where his light attack animation is really bad. And you can see why that's a problem, where he has a playstyle where you want to be intercepting a bunch. Not saying that he should have a Not saying that he should have a Nightcrawler light attack or anything, but you know, I think he should have a little bit of a lunge, because as of right now, you're almost always getting hit when you go for light attacks. Okay, and there you go, that's the kit breakdown for Cyclops. Now let's get into footage of gameplay. Okay, but before we get into that, I would like to try things a little bit differently than just normal showcase videos. So instead of just showing you the perfect fight, I will just show you the first take that I have of a lot of these fights, and I'll go over my mistakes and stuff, and then I'll just give you a prediction of what I feel like a perfect fight could be. Because I'll be honest with you, I'd much rather just see a normal fight than compared to just the perfect fight that you can get with these champions, because God knows how many takes it took them to even get that fight in the first place. Okay, so starting things off, we're gonna go over the fight that I think most people think that he can do. It is Bullseye. So I wanted to start with this matchup in particular just because of the two things that Cyclops has. You should be able to counter Bullseye perfectly. So he has the True Focus, which would prevent him from evading, and then also the Adrenaline through his Sig ability would let him heal back from his block damage or bleed damage from the special attacks. But as you can see from the special attack here, it's not really doing that much. Granted, mine's only Sig 28, so I'm only storing 67% of the Adrenaline. But you'll see in other matchups moving forward, the healing isn't really doing that much in matchups like Killmonger, for example. You're losing a lot of the Adrenaline due to the fall off and stuff. Nice little tactical blunder there. Add that to the Moron counter.
Bruh.
I kind of mess up the intercept here. It's okay because I'm already at 16 precisions, and obviously this is just going to kill. And there you go, that's about the relative average that you'd see for a Bullseye versus Cyclops in Battlegrounds. Looking back at it, yes, I made mistakes, but in my opinion, those are relatively small mistakes, which you would see from any player in Battlegrounds. It's not like I'm making massive mistakes that would completely ruin the champion. So overall, just this matchup in vanilla has two core issues that I kind of have with it. The first one being the special 2 length. As you can see from the footage, he just threw one medium attack and then went straight into the special 2. Granted, I had the heavy punish because of the stunning reflect node, but I almost lost my true focus there. And that was with relatively aggressive AI. I mean, a lot of the time you'd see a bunch of champions trying to bait special attacks and it just takes a very long time. They'll just kind of sit there and do nothing. If he waits for just a little bit more time, that true focus is going off and then your entire loop is just completely ruined. And then the second issue I have with this fight in general is that you're going to want to have to learn that special 1 dex, full dex obviously, because the block damage that you're going to take through the special attack, you have no way of mitigating the crit damage, and it's just going to amount to a lot of damage lost. And then I'll just show you a screenshot of the best fight that I had. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording here, but I was just able to get this fight. It's like 39 seconds, 90% health. It's still a 90% health finish, 50k. I mean, overall, I'd say that Bullseye versus Cyclops is about a B tier matchup. But you know who else Cyclops counters? The most popular skill champion in the game, Killmonger. So there's two main things about this matchup in particular, and that's the reason why I decided to cover it, even though you don't really see Killmongers anymore. This is a max sig Killmonger, so you're going to see a lot of his damage reflection, and because it's a max sig, you're going to see the maximum damage reflection. And then he also has base crit resist and stuff like that. So theoretically, Cyclops shouldn't be critting as much because he doesn't have guaranteed crits on his special attacks, only based off the amount of precisions that he has. You're looking at about 2800 crit rating at 20 precisions, but I'd rather talk about the damage reflect because this footage is kind of short. So I actually triggered it twice in this matchup. The first time you already saw, I wasn't able to heal it back because he already had a special 2, so I was forced to bait that out, and because the adrenaline falls off, it was already gone by the time that special attack was thrown. But this time, I have a special attack, so I should be able to heal it all back up. And you know what? I do, but if we're talking about a higher sig or more damage lost, I don't think I would have been able to heal that, but that's that matchup there. I mean, overall, this matchup is completely fine, but I wouldn't really recommend it because of the crit resist that Killmonger has. I mean, sure, you'd say that Cyclops has a bunch of crit rating, but in my testing, it didn't really amount to anything, because, like, even characters like Onslaught, who only has, like, 6.4% crit resist, I still wasn't critting. Like, I had a decent matchup, but I just completely lost it because he didn't crit at all. Even though I had the loop where you had to just do special 2, special 1, special 1. Normally that just kills if you get like 2 or 3 crits, but it just didn't kill, and I got frustrated. So overall, I'm going to say that Cyclops versus Killmonger is another B tier matchup for him. Now let's talk about Auma. So this is a matchup that I just don't like at all. It's the most extreme example of damage reflect because unlike someone like Killmonger or Corg where you can mitigate it or just completely ignore it with light attacks and stuff like that, in this matchup, you are just forced to deal with it. So you better hope that you're able to heal it all back with adrenaline. And unfortunately, because of the fall off and the fact that you're going to be baiting a bunch of specials against this guy, you're going to see that you lose a bunch of health in this matchup in particular. I mean, I understand why adrenaline falls off. I mean, it makes sense, but I think it should have been changed for Cyclops because the way that he works when you're doing the basic attacks to get to the special attacks, that's the only time you're going to see the adrenaline mechanic, especially for the matchups that you want to see, because his special attacks are just completely non-contact, so it's not like you're losing a bunch of thorns damage for the special attacks. It's just kind of redundant, and because of the way it works, where you're just trying to get to the special attack, it takes a while, it's you're just going to lose all that damage and health. And that is Auma, by the way. I'm just going to be blunt about it. This is a C tier matchup. His adrenaline mechanic is just absolutely terrible, and this is the core reason why. Now I'm going to move on to a Nick Fury. And you know what? For what it's worth, this is by far Cyclops' best matchup because this is the most consistent. I mean, obviously, Cyclops doesn't really have anything that counters Fury, and Fury doesn't really have anything that annoys him, per se. But the best thing about Fury with the 7-star now is that he's just incredibly tanky. And with Cyclops, if you can get the right loop and enough crits and all that, then you can basically get him down to his second life with one special loop and then still have a special left over to just absolutely nuke him in the second phase most of the time. So here, I was finally able to get that special intercept because I was able to predict when he was going to dash in. And as you'll see, I throw one special 2 and one special 1, and it just puts him straight into his second phase. Then the second special 1 only gets 1 crit. If he were to get 3 crits or 2 crits, he probably would have been dead there, and it would have been a 40-second fight. Pretty good for a rank 4 max sig Fury, but as of right now, it's probably just going to be a 60-second fight. JK, haha, he's at 2% health, and then I throw a heavy attack here, and then he's dead. Like I said, this is by far Cyclops' best matchup. I mean, that was about a relative average Fury fight, but if I were to get the perfect RNG, it can go to 40 seconds. I think only people like Crossbones and Juggernaut can do that against a 7-star right now, but overall, I'm going to give this matchup a very firm A tier. Now let's switch things up a little bit and go into a different class that isn't skill, because I'm sure you're all very bored of seeing skill champions, and we'll start that off with Onslaught. So this is my first go at Cyclops versus Onslaught, and is by far my best one. I mean, I've tried this a couple more times streaming on Discord, so I wasn't able to get the recording, unfortunately, but he just wouldn't crit, as I've stated in one of the previous matches that I talked about, and it's just not the best idea, but it's still something that he can do, and I guess I decided to include it because I need stuff that he can do. I mean, honestly, this is just a pretty standard Onslaught fight. You're never going to want to do this in a normal matchup. I mean, hell, Black Panther Civil War versus Onslaught is marginally better, even though that one's significantly more inconsistent. I mean, the main things to look out for this matchup is just Onslaught in general, and then also the fact that you want to be dashing back a little bit more often because you're going to be critting a little bit more often, so that means you're going to get a little bit more Neuroshocks than often. But at the end of the day, this fight is still a gamble. Even with 6.4% crit resistance, for some reason, it's still going to be just a chance that you just don't get those crits, and then the special 2 doesn't kill, and then you're kind of just stuck at a loop here. But fortunately, I do get a lot of crits in this fight in particular, and then he just goes down relatively easily. I mean, obviously you're not going to really see people doing that fight in particular, but it's just nice to know that he can do that if you're really struggling and just need something to do. I mean, most of the time if you see a Cyclops in a deck, you're probably just going to see him do the bare bones, just bare minimum matchup, but you're not going to see Cyclops in Battlegrounds anyway, so who cares? B tier matchup. And then you can question my reasoning behind putting this one in here because it was not a great matchup, but I'm going to say that he can possibly do Enchantress. So in my little noodle brain, when I was trying to theorize stuff that he could do, I was like, yeah, he could probably do that. I mean, he has the True Focus and she has the Miss spell, so I mean, it makes sense. Little did I know that she has a spell where every 4 seconds you're near to her, she nullifies a buff off of you. And this does happen in this matchup, as well as just taking a bunch of damage in general. I mean, it's whatever. I feel like if you just get really lucky with your spell RNG, you just won't encounter the Dispel spell, and then you're kind of fine. So here's where the screw-ups occur, though. So I lose my True Focus spell because of the Nullify spell. I try to get rid of it and try to intercept her as well because I have 2 just completely contradictory spells up. I'm not able to get the intercept spell off before she's able to throw a special 2, and I just lose a bunch of health. But as of right now, I am just okay, I guess. I mean, she's about to throw another special attack. I still can't get that intercept spell off, and because I lost my True Focus, I cannot counter the Miss spell anymore. Fortunately, I'm able to get it off before she triggers a catastrophic miss. I throw the special attack here. It does a decent amount of damage. Doesn't crit because I'm at 13 charges, sorry, pardon my French. And then she throws another special attack, and then I'm just kind of sitting there like, great. I am so happy that I decided to do this matchup. So because that didn't kill and I'm kind of just sitting there like an absolute idiot, I decided to just go for another special 2 loop, but not as big as the first one because she's already at like 50% health. So I just go for the intercept here, get it off fortunately, and I'm at 20 precisions. This does a bit of damage, and then the special 1 just finishes her off. This is a D tier matchup. No questions about it, D tier matchup. But I do think it could be possible to be done pretty well if you just get the most absurd RNG. unfortunately for everyone here, I do not want to try that at all. So up next we have Corg, and in this clip, the fight actually goes really well, but I don't really think it's the best matchup. I mean, one, the rock shield is just kind of annoying because you have to time your specials perfectly or else the rock shield will go up in the middle of your special attack and then you just lose out on all of your damage. But the nice part is if you have enough skill, you can just completely bypass Corg's Thorns damage. I mean, that can really be done with a lot of characters, but the way it works is just don't medium attack with the contact physical hit. Everything else just completely ignores it. I'd say the Thorns damage is just a lot more tolerable in this matchup because unlike the other two, where if you hit the Thorns damage and you just have to bait a special attack, it's just completely gone. In this fight, if you trigger the Thorns damage when you want, you can just heal it all back because you're able to be aggressive and then the decay never actually happens. And as you can see, he's dead. Would you believe me if I said that this was my first try? I'm just playing. Let me show you the special attack loop when the rock shield came back up in the middle of it. Alright, it's starting to get a little bit frustrated. I'm going to give this matchup a B tier and I'm getting kind of tired. Okay, let's go on to the final matchup, Lumatrix. Okay. So, this is the other matchup that you want to utilize Cyclops' true focus because he has a pretty based miss and evade, and it's very annoying if you don't have a counter to either of them. I mean, I don't really know what else to talk about because those are like the two things in this matchup. I mean, wonderful weather we're having. Okay, sorry, let me just get to the point. I don't really think you're going to see Lumatrix defensively in Battlegrounds. You're probably going to see him a lot more in War because of just the way that node placement works and stuff like that. I'm not that knowledgeable, so I don't really know on whether or not the nodes he gets placed on actively would detriment Cyclops at all, but in terms of Battlegrounds, if you see a Lumatrix and you have a Cyclops for some reason, this matchup is completely fine because he just completely counters everything. So, yeah. And then you've heard me say it so many times before, but I mean, well, look at that. 17k crits, 35k crits. Whoa, damage, he's dead. You know what? I'll be nice and I'll give Lumatrix an S-tier matchup. I don't know how you could possibly screw this one up. Okay, and that wraps up the matchup section. Oh my god, I cannot talk for long periods of time. Okay, so let me talk about the strengths and weaknesses that Cyclops has overall. For his overall strengths, you know it, you love it, it's his damage. Everyone knows it, and it is by far the best thing he has going for it. It is so good, it tricked people into thinking that he's actually insane. And back up all that damage, he also has a very easy playstyle. I mean, just combos of 3 giving you the precision. It makes for like 30-second fights, and the damage you get afterwards is so good. It's just so simple. I love it. I mean, another thing I really like about Cyclops is his true focus. Asterisk. I mean, I do really like the True Focus. It's a incredible piece of utility that allows them to do so many matchups, but I think the problem with it is that it's just a little bit too short, so that's why the asterisk is there. And then the final strength, and I think this is the most important one, it is very accurate to Cyclops. I mean, the fact that it just feels like you're playing a Cyclops is a huge win, and that is why I think that this buff is really good for a Cyclops buff. However, in terms of a meta-relevant buff, I don't know. He might be in that top 10 worst buffs video, part 2. I'm playing. I'm not going to do a top 10 worst buffs part 2. I'm probably going to do like best buffs or something like that. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Weaknesses. His utility is very underdeveloped. That's not me saying that the utility is bad. I mean, I like the ideas that he has, like the built-in Infuriate, the Adrenaline mechanic, and the True Focus, but I feel like it's just a little bit half-baked in every regard. Like, the Infuriate doesn't really seem like it's infuriating. The True Focus isn't long enough for matchups like Bullseye, which I think it should be, honestly. And then the Adrenaline is by far the worst one of the bunch, because, I mean, the fact that it falls off just makes him completely useless when characters like Namor and Dazzler exist. Probably more Dazzler because she's like meta-relevant and stuff. Another kind of minor issue that I have with him is his crit rating or whatever. I mean, it's still pretty good. I mean, 2800. It's basically a glorified Nightcrawler because as opposed to Nightcrawler where your damage is based off of like 2 hits of a special attack, Cyclops has a lot of hits on his special attack, so it's a lot better. But at the end of the day, it is still kind of hampered by crit resistance, which a decent amount of skill champions have. And then the biggest and final weakness that I have with him, but it's a massive one, is his matchup versatility. So that goes over his playstyle and then the matchups that he can actually do. Let's just look at his matchup versatility for a second, because you're only really going to be using him for skill champions, right? Or just any champion that doesn't really have any nodes or defensive mechanics, because the way that Cyclops' utility was built, it's only really countering just skill champion abilities and stuff. And even then, it's not really a counter per se. I mean, stuff like the Adrenaline, you're not really countering Thorns damage or bleed damage or anything. You're just kind of getting a little bit of it back. So yeah, I can't really say that he's versatile because what he's doing in terms of matchups is just very limited. You're not really doing much with him, and I can't really recommend him over other characters that I think just do what he does a lot better. And those are my overall opinions on what I think Cyclops brings to the table in terms of strengths and weaknesses. Now, what are my overall opinions on him? Okay, so this right here is a Cyclops action figure that I found. It's a bit weird because he kind of looks like the red version of Cyclops in game, but he's also blue. And then this right here is the floor. Subscribe.